Hi everybody, Paige here, and today I am going to do a special video called the birth story tag. I've actually been meaning to do a video on my birth story with Christian, and he's my only child, so I thought this was the perfect video to do. It was actually created on this group of YouTube moms that I'm with, and some people are actually tagged, but anybody can do it. So I wasn't originally tagged, but I tag everybody who else wants to do it. So anyway, let's get started. There's 20 questions. Number 1, what was your due date? My due date was July 30th of 2012. What date did you actually give birth? I gave birth on August 10th of 2012. So yeah, I went way over my due date. In the days leading up to your birth, what did you do to prepare? Example, classes, books, etc. I did not go to any classes, but I did study the book What to Expect When You're Expecting. I read it like every single night. And I also did research on the computer and all that, but I didn't take any classes or anything. Number 4, did you experience any signs that you would go into labor soon? No, I did not have any signs. I was actually induced because my body would not go into labor. It was very discouraging, and for like 2 or 3 weeks, it was like just a waiting game every day. Am I gonna go into labor? You know, when am I gonna start feeling anything? Which I was actually having Braxton Hicks contractions, but I did not know at the time. I thought it was just my baby kicking and moving a lot, but actually there was some Braxton Hicks contractions, but it didn't progress me at all. Number 5, rate your pre-birth nervousness level on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not nervous at all and 10 being petrified. I was probably close to 10. I was very scared of all the pain that I knew was coming because my plan was to have an all-natural childbirth. I did not want any drugs of any type of sort, so I was terrified of the pain. But I knew that once it was over, I would be happy with my baby. But yeah, I was very nervous. I had never gone through anything like that before, and I just heard all these horror stories. My own mom had 6 children. She did all natural childbirths with every one of them, and yeah, she always told me about how painful it was, but how happy she was once it was over. So I was just trying to focus on that, but I was very scared. Number 6, what were you doing when you went into labor, or when your water broke, or when you found out you needed a C-section? Okay, well, that doesn't really apply to me because I think it was on my due date, and I went in for a doctor appointment, and he told me, you know, he had them do an ultrasound on me, and then had to actually get 2 ultrasounds that day because they forgot to get the baby's weight, which was really what he wanted. My baby's weight was already around 9 pounds. He said, we have to induce soon. So I guess when babies tend to get bigger, they are probably harder to get out. So he wanted to go ahead and induce, so we induced like 2 days later, or maybe, yeah, it was about 2 days later. So I didn't really get to experience like labor starting at home or water breaking at home or nothing like that. It was all like planned. So I had to go into the hospital to actually, they had to help me go into labor. Describe what a contraction feels like. Pure pain. I knew it was gonna be painful, and I dreaded it so bad. Actually, the first night that I was in the hospital, they had to give me a medication, made my cervix soft, because my cervix wasn't even wanting to get soft, and usually that happens on its own, but they had to actually put something in to make my cervix soft. That made me cramp so bad that night. It was like being on a really, really, really bad period. And then the next day was when they started the Pitocin, and then I was feeling contractions, and like, you know, but they were tolerable. I could tolerate them. But then they broke my water, and oh my goodness. After they broke my water was when the real contractions began, and I couldn't handle it. It was so much pain. I did not want to get an epidural because I wanted to do it drug-free, which they already had Pitocin, so that was discouraging. But the nurse was like, well, we can give you a little bit of pain medication to help with the pain, but it's not an epidural. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds perfect. You know, I was thinking something like ibuprofen or something. I knew it would be a little bit stronger than that, but boy, what she gave me knocked me out. I was so drowsy. I couldn't understand what was going on. All I could feel was the pain. It didn't help the pain at all. But it just made me to where, like, I couldn't talk to Cody. There was people that visited me. I couldn't speak. All I could focus, I was just in a drowsy state of pain. It was horrible. And if I ever have another child, I will not take that pain medication because I hated being drowsy. I would much have rather been alert and could have you know, talked more easily or knew what was going on, except I just felt out of it and pain. Did you deliver at a hospital, birth center, or at home? I delivered at a hospital. I was not comfortable delivering at home or birth center. I just felt more comfortable delivering in a hospital because that just seems the safer route to go in case there's any complications. Number 9, did you have a midwife, a doctor, or was your birth unassisted? I had a doctor. I just went that route because that was just the route that was kind of easiest to take. It was my first child, my first pregnancy, and I just felt more comfortable with a doctor. Number 10, who were your other supporters? Cody, my husband, was with me the whole entire time, and I wish I had gotten a tad more support from him. The situation also made it kind of difficult. I'd expected for me to go into labor at home and then him giving me back rubs and foot rubs and all that good stuff, but I actually had to be induced, and I was hooked up to the monitors around my belly and IV and everything like that. So it was kind of hard for any of that to take place. So all I had imagined in my head did not happen, and he did stick around the whole entire time. His mom came by, my grandparents came by while I was in labor, but my husband he was the only one I would allow in the room anyway. Oh, and his 2 of his cousins came by. I'm a very private person on that, and I didn't want anybody to see me give birth besides my husband. Number 11, what were you really glad you had during your birth? I didn't really have anything because once you're on Pitocin, they don't let you eat anything, and really the only thing that kept me, you know, that I was able to do was just watch some TV. And the hospital had satellite or cable, and we don't pay for that at home, so that was actually nice to be able to watch some television during my contractions. Number 12, what types of pain management did you use? Epidural, hydrotherapy, nitrous oxide, etc. Okay, it was my plan not to have an epidural, but guess what? I got an epidural, and it was that I suffered through a lot of contractions, many hours, before I finally gave in to get an epidural. Tried to go with that pain, just the pain medication at first, but that made me feel way worse because not only did I still feel the pain, but I was also drowsy. I think they thought it might make me sleep, but it did not make me sleep. The pain kept me from sleeping. So anyway, my husband, he kept encouraging me to get an epidural because he didn't like to see me in so much pain. And so finally I was like, okay, an epidural. And I remember signing the paper, and I remember my hand from the pain, I couldn't function. My signature didn't even look like my signature on the signing the form for the epidural, but it was like I had experienced, they said a long needle was going to go on my back. Oh my gosh, I thought it was going to be so painful. Well, I felt one shot and that was it. And then they said it's all done. I'm like, I was confused because I figured it was going to be way more pain, but my husband told me later that the anesthesiologist had numbed the spot where he did stick in the long needle. My husband actually saw the long needle go on my back, and he said it grossed him out so bad. but I didn't feel it. I just felt that one shot, and I think they also tried to do it during one of my contractions. So, oh my gosh, the epidural was amazing. I became so alert. The pain was gone, and I could just, it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. It was so freeing. I couldn't imagine having an epidural if I ever have another baby. So yay to epidurals. Number 13, what position did you find yourself in the most? Well, since I was induced, I had to be, they had the belly bands on me and the IV, so I was either sitting, you know, sitting up in bed or on one of my sides. During the later part of my labor time, the baby was not actually getting enough oxygen, so I only had to lay on my, I think it was my right side. If I change position, the baby cannot get enough oxygen. I don't know why that was happening, but so the nurse, she just tried to get me to lay on that one side. Number 14, did you experience the ring of fire? Oh my goodness, no. That was one of the things that I was terrified of experiencing, and the epidural prevented that, and it made things go a lot smoother. I don't have that awful experience, and I'm just so glad that I took the epidural to prevent experiencing the ring of fire. Number 15, what was the first thing that popped into your head when you saw your baby? The first thing that popped in my head was, I have never seen a more gorgeous baby. To me, he was the most beautiful baby I had ever seen. I kept telling everybody, I said, he's the most beautiful baby. I have never, ever seen a more beautiful baby. That's just, and then of course, the emotion that just overwhelms you when you first see your baby, and it's like, you know, he's here, he's mine, you know. It's the love that overwhelms you. It's just, it's an overwhelming feeling, really. Number 16, what was your baby's length and weight? My baby's length was, I don't remember. I know that's horrible. I think he was around 19-20 inches. I have it written down somewhere, but I didn't actually bother to look it up before I made this video. So his weight was 9 pounds 5 ounces, and yeah, he was a big baby. Number 17, from first true labor, contraction, delivery, how long were you in labor for? I went into the hospital on Wednesday night. They started getting my cervix ready that night. I don't know if you would count that night. I had a lot of cramping during the night. I could hardly sleep. I counted as labor because it was a pain. And then they started Pitocin the next day around, I think, lunchtime, around 12 o'clock. And then they expected the baby to be born that day, but he actually wasn't born until Friday. So I went in the hospital on Wednesday and had him on Friday. Number 18, which was the most challenging for you? Labor, pushing, or recovery? The most challenging was probably the part of labor that I did not have an epidural. It was very painful, and I do not wish to ever experience that again. Recovery was, it was okay. I did have some discomfort. I did have to have some stitches because I was cut to prevent tearing. That was very, very, very sore. 19, what one piece of advice would you give about birth to a mom-to-be? Go get an epidural. Don't say no to an epidural. That would be one of the things that I would say. I know I was not pressured into wanting a all-natural birth, but I felt like I was going to be a wimp or be as brave or strong as other women who do natural births. And I was afraid of that, and I didn't want to, especially my mom. She had 6 children, all natural, and I wanted to be as brave as my mom, but in the end I'm not. So I would just, one of the things I would say is, if you're afraid of what others might think of you, don't be afraid, because it's your own body, and an epidural does make it a lot easier. So if you want epidural, get an epidural, because it's there. The doctors have discovered that this helps women during during labor, and I highly recommend it. The other thing is just to do whatever you want to do for whatever is best for you. So yeah, I think that's would be my main advice. Number 20, show the first ever picture of you as a new mom, and I will insert the picture here because it's on my computer. So I will insert a picture here of me and Christian. that is the end of the tag. I hope you guys got a little bit of information about how it was when I had Christian. He is my only child so far. I do hope to have another child, but not right now. I want to get more settled. I want to be able to get my own home, because right now me and my husband are living with my mother-in-law, and so I want to be able to be more financially settled before we have another child. So if you would like to do this birth story tag, feel free to do it. I tag you, and let me know if you do it, because that would be so much fun. I would love to watch your videos. All right, that's it. I hope you had a great day, and if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new, because I post videos every single day. All right, have a great day. Bye.